And hello, it is I, the Roguescaper, emerging after a bit of winter hibernation to bring my next video for you. I've recently finished painting all of HeroScape Wave 1, which includes the Master Set, the Battle Box, as well as repainting the promo figures. I wanted to showcase off my work and talk about kind of the process behind it, but looking for structure, I decided to use the time-tested and time-proven method of tier list. I'm going to rank all the paints I did, judging them based on how much I enjoyed painting them, how happy I am with the final product, and any other variables I decide to add along the way. Some I certainly liked more than others, and so I'm going to be judging each sculpt individually, as there's a lot of variance in these squads in this first wave. In this tier list, I'm not going to be really focused on how good the unit is, really focus on the final aesthetics, as well as the process to get there. And so enough babbling in this intro, let's dive right into my tier list for HeroScape 1, the painting. So first off, we have Admiral EJ-1M. I'm very happy with how this turned out. He's a very easy figure to paint, and he has a bit of personal connection to me, as he was the first Age of Annihilation figure I got to paint. Renegade sent that figure to me early, so it was really just a cool experience getting to have that person a bit before everyone else. I'm really happy with just the sculpt. It's really easy to access all the points, and you can just use simple metallics to make it look really good. The purples, the reds, the grays, I like this unit as is with the colors. I didn't change too much, although I did feel compelled to make a variant of it on the Omnicrons, just because the Omnicrons don't get any love, and I feel like his sculpt would be kind of cool in the mix. So overall, I'd say this unit is one of my favorite, one of the best. Starting off on a high note on this tier list, and I'm overall very happy with the end results, with the details on the cape, and a bit of texture was added to the armor as well. Nice, easy in the video to make it. Editing was really easy as well. This is definitely an A tier. Alright, so next up we have Dorim, the Bulkhead Brawler. He was an interesting unit to paint. I'd spent a long time kind of developing the details. I think the pirates are all going to rank a bit lower, just because of all the little details. I think some of them are over-designed. I think in terms of overall the pirates, Dorim's probably one of the better ones, besides the Admiral, who really is technically a pirate, as Dorim has a simplistic design, but he does have harder colors to work with. Building up yellows and fabric just takes a while, and as well as the details on the axe and the lenses. Looking at it now, I'm not fully happy with how I layered the beard. I have since kind of learned some better formulas to bring out the hair color, and honestly I might go back and touch that up at a later time. But as this result, I'm looking at it now, I think it's a B. It was honestly a bit too long to layer up the yellow and to get to this point, and I think there's things I noticed in the model that I would like to go back and change. But overall, I'm very happy with the end result. There is definitely a distinction between the 3 foot away of how it looks and then the up close lens of how I actually get to observe it now. So I think a B it's really good. I'm happy with it, especially in the lighting on the axe and the goggles, but I think I could do a bit more in the highlights and the face and the skin and the beard. So B for Bulkhead Brawler sounds about right. Alright, now we have some spicy takes here. We have the Exiles of the Sundered Sea. I had an absolutely miserable time painting these guys.
Oh, yeah, the assignment was paint your paint.
I think it was just a lot of mental work to really balance all the shades of green. It kind of was hard to not make it appear muddy, and it just took a long time. These were the figures that sat half finished and honestly prevented me from making this video for so long, just because I didn't want to get the end results. Even then, I was kind of lazy when I painted them. I could have done more details on the face. Looking at each Exile individually, the 2 best models are definitely the snakehead people. I think they have a lot of texture and distinction on them. The human female model, I just really despise. And the one with the beard at least has a bit more texture in the face to kind of bring out. The green blades were a great thing for me to practice. I honestly don't have a lot of experience with making power weapons or glowing blades, so that was nice to kind of get some hands-on training on that. I've since kind of done even more practicing. I think I can make those blades look even better. As is, I think they're serviceable. So kind of in individual sculpts, I'd say the two snakehead people are both high Cs, and I think the bearded guy is a low C, like a C minus. And then I gotta say that the female human on the Exiles, not happy with the end result. Didn't enjoy painting it. I think that's a D. And I think that's probably my least favorite one I've painted so far. The sculpt itself wasn't very fun to paint. It's not a very unique sculpt. So many small details that were just a pain to get on. It's serviceable. I just got it done to get on the field. So that's why it's D for done right there. The other ones, I like the snake lady. Honestly, I wish that she's probably my favorite of the whole bunch, as she just has a very unique pose, very simple design, isn't like bogged down with all these little patches and pockets that you have to paint individually. So, but overall, not disappointed, not happy, just glad they got done. Now we have the Frosclaw Paladins. I toiled with these individuals for a long time just to kind of find the right levels of white. White is a very, tentative color, a very fragile color. And polar bears kind of have a unique a unique fur color. You think it's just pure white, but there's a lot of kind of subhues and subtones, and that took me a while to kind of figure out the formula on what to paint. There's honestly not a lot of references online on how to get that, so it was mainly just kind of trial and error. Some of them kind of show that trial and error a bit more than some of the later models I did, but altogether I'm going to kind of link them up just because they kind of are so much similar. I think I'm going to put them at. See, the thing is, while they were a lot of work to get there, a lot of research, I was doing so much research on bear fur, bear texture. I think that was showcased in my my painting video I made for them. I am happy with the end result. I like them considerably more than the pre-painted. They have a presence in the field. I like the basing effects I did on them, so I'm happy with how they look. Honestly, the only downsides I have, I think I got lazy on the armor and didn't really buff it out as much as I want. I think I went too bright. So I'm going to give these guys a B- collectively for all the Frosclaw Paladins. I think I've noticed, even when I'm painting like the new harpoon bears and stuff like that, I've honed the formula in a bit better, and I'm more confident in my approach to them, and I get that kind of, I just understand what I want to do with them now. So these were kind of my introductory, again, something I kind of had to figure out how to make a painting tutorial for. So I have that sentimentality. I'm going to give them a B-. I think they turned out good. I think they could use a bit of work overall, some improvement, but I'm overall really happy with how they turned out, even though the road to get there was 3 Wikipedia pages deep on bear fur. So the knaves have the interesting distinction of having some of my least favorite units to paint, as well as one of my most favorite units to paint. I think the gruts are alright in the mix, as well as the elf, but really they're just so over-designed. They have all these bandoliers and pouches, and kind of they're at odds with the colors, with the red and the whites. It's so detailed that with that light undertone, if you kind of overdo your brush or get it into a different area, you have to layer up that kind of off-white all over again. I'm not happy with those ones, how they ended. For some reason, I had the opposite experience with the 4-armed Scodire in the mix. Like, he's just really fun sculpt. Like, he has a bright green body and is just less detailed, and it kind of flows more naturally understanding. Kind of you understand where the pieces are and what they represent. Whereas like something like the elf, I was kind of struggling to figure out where I wanted things to begin and end, which part were cloth on like the armbands, which part was just skin. And the gruts were a bit better, but I didn't even bother go through and do the fine details like teeth or that much on them. I just kind of got them done, got them table ready, which is, there's no problem with getting something just table ready. But, we're going through and analyzing them each individually. The Scodire knave is an A. Like, I'm really happy with how he turns out. I think he catches the eye. I spend a little bit more love, a little bit more time on him. And I think, honestly, the rest of the Exiles, I think I'm going to give the female Grut a C, and then the rest, the remaining 2, just a D. Got them done. But overall, I think they still turned out okay. But I just don't like all the little details. You know, I'm capable of painting details. It's just, you know, I have a family. I want to go see them. You know, these bandoliers are keeping me from my family. So for that reason alone, that's why they're ranked so low. All right, so next up we have Knight Irene. Very similar to the bears, but this time I used a different formula for the fur, wanting to go with more of a grayish tone instead of kind of the warm tannish tone I used for the Frosclaws, just to represent Irene's age and tenure in the Ordos. I like this model a lot more. I think the Frosclaws have a tendency to have really tight angles in the armpit areas, and sometimes washes can just flow into spots you don't want to use. Probably should have talked about this more in the Frosclaw segment, but it kind of just reminded me of the experience painting those. But whereas Irene's very open, she has lots of wide space that's easy to paint, and it flows down kind of naturally to where you want to go. Also, it's just fun kind of working a bit of texture and degradation into the armor, you know, just little details like just rust on the armor, some battle damage on the shoulder pads, and like highlighting the scars and like a blind eye. I was happy with how that turned out. So I'd say Knight Irene is an A for Angry Bear. Overall, I just like painting the model. It's a really easy paint, like it's an hour-and-a-half paint job. Honestly, it kind of paints itself once you set it up properly. Next up we have Misarex. Not fully happy with the end result. I really like the gradation I did on the fabric. It was fun kind of finding a new red that wasn't kind of like the dark Utgar red that's typically used, but more of a cooler red for the model to use. Overall, I think the cloth, the details were fun to bring out. It took a really long time to do this. And even then, looking at it now, I noticed I missed a few details. So not, in terms of actually getting it done, it was so tedious. Just, again, I wish it had like 3 or 4 bones and those kind of linings, not like 12. So just a lot of tiny work to do. I think the face, honestly, I overworked it a bit too much. So I think it's honestly just got a little too blotchy for me. I have since done a bit more research onto pale skin. It was kind of my first time experimenting with that skin tone. Specifically, I think I'm a bit more confident in the process now, but as is, I think it's serviceable. I think it could definitely use some improvement in the face and some other parts of the bottle. I do like the gradients I added to the wings, just kind of that dark black kind of degradation on it, which made me happy. Overall, I think it's a decent end product. It definitely looks better from 3 feet away compared to up close and personal. I have another one I'm looking to do a bit more in depth. This was kind of one I painted live, and those ones are never as good as ones I just do on my free time, just because I'm focused on explaining myself and all the lights and cameras. So they typically just end up a little bit below the mark. So I'm giving this one probably a C-, honestly, just for the experience and the end result. Both could use just a bit more work. Although I do enjoy painting skulls and bones. It's fun to add all that texture and layer to it. So yeah, I think that brings up to a C+ actually. For cruel and unusual, I guess. I don't know. And now we have Raakchott. This one, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. It was a really easy paint. Just gotta use a bit of different techniques like wet blending to kind of bring in the greens and the browns together. And yeah, it's just I love how this model, when you paint it really catches the eyes a lot more than the pre-painted one. And the pre-painted one sometimes skips on the cool possibilities that a model like Raakchott has. I'm really happy with it. I like the little details I was able to put on the mushrooms. It has lots of things to catch the eye, but it's not overly detailed, not overly busy. This was one I painted live, but it was a very smooth and easy experience, contrasting the previous one, all the things I just said. I was just in the zone when I was painting this one, I felt like. Only thing I would maybe change is add a bit more detail to the block base, but I didn't want to mess up all the vines and stuff that I added to it, and I think it's fine. I think this is an A. I'm really happy with this model. Again, skulls are fun to paint, and it's just got a lot of unique little techniques. I'm proud with how they turned out in this one. Now we have Raelin, the Kyrie Warrior, the big one, the angry one. I did a different color palette compared to the original, because honestly the pre-painted Raelin I think is the best in the Master Set box. It's got very good colors, very clear delineation of where things are. You know, you can always touch up and make it look nicer, but I like the orange tiger skin and so like that. So I decided to do for this version, what if Raelin was just good on the tiger? So did more of a Siberian tiger kind of vibe. Unfortunately, this model got dipped in some paint, which is why it looks a little blotchy, some red paint. So I had to go through and layer that back over, but it ruined some of the cool layering effects I did on that. I haven't had the heart to do it again after this was the second one I painted. I experimented with the stripes, and again, those are kind of unfinished, so this is kind of cheating, as I sent another model out, but I don't have full footage of it, that I did a lot more work on the white layering, but gave it more of an evil theme instead. So this is kind of a weird one to rank, just for the kind of accident that happened and the lack of finished it. I'm giving this one a C-. It was fun to paint, it was fun to do, but overall the end result isn't fully there and could use a bit of work just to make this thing the showstopper it is. Now we have Xenithrax, the Vine Weaver. This was also one of the first models I painted for Renegade. It was really great just kind of having this on hand. It's a big model. Honestly, this is a model I wish I could have used my airbrush on, but I did a tutorial on it, and it was fun kind of learning how to progress the colors, how to make that yellow not overbearing, but still kind of retain true to its colors on the card art. I like it. I think over time I probably would have gone with a slightly brighter yellow just to catch the eye and buff up the details just a tiny bit. But overall, I'm happy with how it looks. The wings look good. I think it's kind of just a standard, decent paint job. I could have definitely gone through and maybe added a bit more details. But it's so big. It's you know, I wanted to keep this was a tutorial model, so I wanted to keep this just very similar to the card art. Giving this a B- for big. B- for big. All right, so next we have Bok-Bur-Na. This one was like a personal victory for me. I feel like I finally, after months of fiddling around with it, I feel like I finally have hit where a good formula and a good recipe for Morrow skin, which I've been doing a lot of experimenting with off camera. You know, using stuff from fellow creator Blast Shark, as well as some new techniques. I used some stuff called Noosh Medium to really kind of get that tone in. And for this, I felt like I wanted to do a standard Morrow. I didn't want to do a whole lot of highlighting or fancy stuff with it. I wanted this to look like this was like a classic HeroScape model. So my intent really came through, I feel like. I'm really happy with it. I could have been fancier and did some more stuff like the green canisters and all that stuff, but like I said, I wanted this to feel like a classic HeroScape model, just because that's where the Morrow kind of exists in my mind and my heart, is that classic nostalgic feel. Honestly, my only thing I think that makes it from being like an A+, I think is just, I could have done a bit more highlights on the sword just to bring that out. Again, that was just kind of that disparity of that classic look, you know, that single coat with a wash that I was going for. So with intent in mind, and it was fun to paint, I'm going to give that one an A-. I think it was a low A. I think I could have done a bit more, but I am happy with the Morrow tone and just the other details in the model. Alright, so the Fia Bonney, the Void Siren. I think this is honestly one of my better paint jobs. Again, it was a lot of work getting to this point. I fiddle around with the visor for such a long time, kind of find the right gradation to get that kind of glowing look on it. Overall though, that work to get there I think really paid off. And I said before that, you know, details are a bit annoying, but when it's one figure that you really want to paint well, I think it comes through. My least favorite part of the model is this area on the face and the hair. It kind of just gets kind of jumbled up. I wish it didn't have the hair coming through. I feel like it breaks the model up too much. And it's just kind of hard to add some new colors to that because it kind of blends in. But overall, I'm really happy with this. I actually painted a variant of this as well. Kind of about an equal ranking, just different colors. Every time I successfully roll for Master of Disguise, I switch the model out, just because that's a fun thing to do. But so yeah, I think the Fia Bonney I actually spent a lot of time on. I think that's an A. I think it's a solid figure. The glow effects really bring it together. And I felt like I adequately went through and brought out all the little tiny details on the model. And now we have Ewashia, Master of Tides. I did do a standard version of this that I sent to Tales of Valhalla for a future short of theirs. Unfortunately, I didn't film it before I sent it off, but that was the one I spent a lot of time on. And there's a lot of curves. It's definitely a model that's more fun to airbrush in hindsight. I hand painted it. It was more of just a practice on wet blending and kind of merging. So I do like that version a bit better. This one, it was just a fun version as an homage to my days when I painted for NGC. One of my earlier painting tutorials was actually how to paint their version of Ewashia in this colors. So I kind of chose this and just went with it. Nice and simple. Nothing too fancy. I probably could go through and buff it up a bit more, but I like the green. I like how it kind of is more of a contrast to the other colors. I think this one's a B-, as there's nothing flashy, nothing crazy about it, but it really, I think, it's a fun personal story for me, and I'm happy with how it turns out just because of how it looks like the original design I painted for NGC, where they decided to release their own version of Ewashia. It's a decent paint job, just a quick and easy. There's a lot of figures. Sometimes when you're painting, you just kind of get one done and you don't even you just do it casually when you're watching a show. Not every figure needs to be a showstopper, I think, is the important thing to remember. The days you just want to spend a whole lot of time on a model are great, and sometimes it's nice just to get some paint on it and call it done. So I'm satisfied with it, but it's nothing too flashy or too crazy. Now we have Onshu, the Wokenai. I did 2 different versions of this. Both just really fast, quick paint jobs. The first version, the brown version, I'm not happy with. Honestly, I think this is a D paint job. I wasn't inspired by the brown and the purples. It was one I just wasn't feeling that day. I honestly just kind of got it done. I was lazy on the mask, and it's serviceable, but I could definitely go through and bring out the eyes and the details on the wings a bit better. But it's not, in hindsight, it's not my favorite model to begin with. I like the blue version a lot more I painted, which is kind of designed to just be more mythical and match the color scheme of Ewashia. Blues and purples are some of my favorite colors to work with, so it was fun just kind of bringing those out. This one has probably a divide of the blue version is a B, and the standard version, I think, honestly, it's probably a D, maybe a C-, kind of in that range right there. Just because I'm not fully happy with the end result. It's a bit not fully fleshed out. Kita is kind of in the same boat, where the brown one just didn't inspire me. But it's, I think, a bit more of an easy model to paint. It's one of the easier models just to get done. And I did spend a bit just adding some layers and working on the white neck fluff as well. So I think it just turned out a bit better. I give Kita B+, I think. And also I made a winter version, which I'm really happy with. It's one of my favorite looking models. I based this one off Twig from Hilda. If you haven't seen Hilda, definitely check it out if you're looking for a fun and cozy time. It's the Deer Fox from Hilda. The winter version, I think, is an A. Honestly, I'm really happy with the layering and just the theme and the reference. And it's just, I like the colors a bit more. It feels like Kita should have seasonal variants. An autumn coat and a winter coat and a summer coat. And I think it kind of touches on that idea. I like, it feels like a mythical creature more in this version. And then we have Killian. Killian is so over-designed in terms of just all the details. I think this is the one I challenged myself just to use a starting set of colors. So I was a bit limited on the result of that, but it was kind of fun to get to that point and kind of work there. So it was a fun challenge for me just to work on, relearn mixing colors and go back to the basics. I'm happy with the result. of it. I think it's good, but I'm not happy with the model. Like, the model is just, it wasn't fun to paint. For me personally, again, kind of the pirate trap of too much details, but it's not terrible. I think it has some fun stories to tell with those details. So I don't mind details if you can tell stories with them, but if they're just there just to be there, that's when they kind of find them to be distracting or a bit just burdensome. I think Killian, though, overall, yeah, I'd probably give him B- as well. Probably lots of things are hanging out there. Let's bump him down to C. Looking at him now, I think I could have did the face a bit better and brought out some more details. So let's make him a high C, which seems appropriate for a pirate. We have Sergeant Drake Alexander. Now, I wasn't very impressed with the look of the promo. No shade against those who make it and design it. I just, had preferences on how I wanted it to look. And it's such a cool model. I think there's a lot to bring out with, and when I'm painting, just building up with flame effects and the military shadings are a really fun thing to work with. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think this is going to be an A-. I think I could have just touched up a few more details, added a few more highlights, but honestly, I enjoyed repainting this, and it's a fun model to work with. I did a bit of OSL on the back legs, which was fun, and just good colors, good simple combination. I think I brought a bit more life to him than what he was, so I'm happy with it.
Okay, this is a pickup shot because my camera decided to cut out at this point or didn't record properly. Now we have Loviatäk. Loviatäk is a really easy, simple thing to paint. Honestly, there's not much to say about it. It's just simple metallics and some layering on the wings. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the result. I could go through and maybe buff it up more with some non-metallic metal, but overall, I'm happy with the result. I think it's around a B.
We have Shiori, our last entrance here. I think for Wave 1. I think Cornelius Breach is technically Wave 2, so we'll group him with that video. But Shiori, I did something pretty drastically different compared to the original model. I had to repaint it and give it some kind of glowing effects. One, just for when I play the game, I know which one's a targetable hit zone, which one's not, so it makes it a bit more easy to understand and easy to see. This was a fun one, working with fluorescence to really bring out that glowing hue. I probably could go through and do a bit more just to make it appear a bit brighter, but I really actually like the colorization I used for the real Shiori. I like that, working with that royal purple and shading that up and kind of bringing out some of those smaller details in the eyes and just kind of, I think it catches the eyes a bit better. And so I'm going to give this Shiori A-. Why not? No one's going to stop me. I like it. I think it's kind of cool, even though it can use a bit of improvement. I think it's a really cool design and concept, if I do say so myself. So yeah, A-. Let's keep it there. Or I could see it being argued for B+ as well. There we have it. That's kind of my overview, my final ranking of all the HeroScape Wave 1 figures that I painted. All in all, even the ones I didn't enjoy painting, I enjoy painting. It's fun just having HeroScape in hand and getting those on the table, from gray to colorized. It was great seeing the community embrace painting, as it was traditionally HeroScapers are so painting phobic. I love seeing everyone's takes and renditions on the model, seeing people grow and try new things, and get some paint onto these gray models to grace the fields of Valhalla forever. I think that's awesome. If the people like this video, I'll definitely do this for the next couple waves. Probably group several releases together by year, like 2, 3, and 4. Or however the nomenclature for waves goes, arcs, or however it works. But I'd love to dive into this again and just kind of show you what I've been working on. If you're interested in getting your HeroScape figures painted, I offer lots of tutorials on my channel. I also do live streams as often as I can, painting HeroScape figures as well as other figures, just to try to kind of encourage this community to pick up a paintbrush and get those gray minis painted. Well, I think that's all the figures to review. I hope you keep scaping on and you all have a great day. Bye!